Washington could have been president until he died. There was they weren't going to vote him out of office at all. He stepped down, and they say he stepped down because I said that's what good leaders do. And he learned that from the Masonic Lodge. Now sometimes they'll hammer you because you should know better.
Yeah, right. I've definitely heard those stories before.
Yeah, especially.
What are the criteria for dispensation to do a degree somewhere?
Well, I know in Indiana we have to move our charter outside our lodge.
Was anybody at that time here in American politics running for office and displaying proudly that they're a Freemason, you should vote for them because they're a Freemason or anything? Was there anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of, but I did see some old like propaganda posters, where like it was like vote for me, and they had a square and compass as like a lapel.
Right, and most of the time, when we do go down to the bar, what is it? It's all of us just sitting together talking about everything we just did.
Right.
Yeah.
I heard one guy say that Jesus walked on water. Well, how do we know it wasn't a sandbar he was walking on? No one knew it was there. It may have been a miracle, those guys.
Oh, why, George, have I been forsaken for this today? I'm right here. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
The views expressed in this presentation are those of the host and guests and do not represent the views of any lodge, Grand Lodge, appended body, or any other person or persons whomsoever.
Brothers, we are at Refreshment.
Welcome, everyone, to the At Refreshment Masonic Video Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Wesley Reuter. I am here with Brock and with our special guest, once again, Todd from that other Masonic podcast. Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming on out.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You guys got your drinks? Need refills or anything? Or?
Oh, nope. I got one right here.
I got about halfway full right now, so
we're all good to go. It's not like we haven't been talking for a half hour already trying to figure out what we're going to talk about or anything.
Exactly.
So, what we were discussing off recording was, and I'm not really sure how to word this correctly, but outside of the normal community events that you do as a Masonic Lodge or as a Mason, what should you be doing for the community? Yes, we do our charity work, such as scholarships. Sometimes you do events at the lodge, table lodge, or some people do chili cook-offs. Everybody loves the pancake breakfast, and everybody's favorite, green beans. But that's usually on a stated meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So outside of those things, what?
Yeah.
I don't want to say what is expected, but what should a Mason be doing? Sometimes we talk about politics. There are Masons that get into politics. They do play those roles. We do have Masons that are judges. We have Masons that are in all different walks of life, especially in public service. And I guess that's where I'm going with this. So as a Mason, what kind of public service should you be doing to, I don't want to say spread the word of Freemasonry, but just be doing as a citizen and an individual?
Yeah, I like what you said about it being a citizen of your community. I think that's a huge thing that we've lost now. People just live in a town and they don't really participate. Sometimes they might, a little bit in their school district, or if their kids play sports, maybe they'll get a little involved there. But the Masonic Lodge is one place that still has an active community center. Todd, I know you guys do like a lot of funerals and stuff like that, where your lodge plays a big pivotal role to your community local like that. I know our lodge isn't so much like that. Like Wes said, we're more known like our chili cook-off brings in a lot of public, or when we have like the cookie walk, we pass out hot chocolate and open our lodge as a warm place for people to, commune and hang out inside of our banquet hall area there. So,
right.
It's things like that. I mean, our lodge, we have the Lions and Rotary and Leeds group, Boy Scouts. We have a lot of different people who use our hall building. So, that kind of keeps the community around our lodge and stuff. And, we got Masons in all those groups as well. So it's really easy for us to interact with our community that way. But, you know, I'm sure every lodge kind of has a different way they kind of handle that.
I think Todd froze up.
Oh no.
Oh no, Todd, if you can hear us, you froze up. So I know us with Raven, like you said, we do the chili cook-off. Oh, all right, you're back.
Yeah.
Like the
I don't know what happened. They went black.
corned beef.
It sounded like you were going to say something.
Well, yeah, like our lodge is in a very small town, like I'm gonna say less than 600 people in the town. And for any member of that community who has a loss in their family, has a funeral or something like that, we open up our lodge and we'll actually, spend money out of our own pockets to have a funeral dinner for this family, so they don't have to worry about having to wake or whatever you would call it, the funeral dinner after the service and everything. They don't have to worry about cleaning up or preparing food or bringing food or like that. Our lodge takes care of it 100%. And usually the family gives a small donation, and even some of the other family members who show up will give a small donation too. And it really helps. I think we do probably 10 or 15 of these a year. And a lot of times the Eastern Star, like the people at Eastern Star, even people at Lodge, we find a good deal on like pork loins or turkeys or hams or something like that. We'll buy them, put them in our deep freezers, and save them just for that purpose. But it's a great way for us for people to know who we are and what we do. We give that service to the community. Now, if we had to do it like around where you guys live in Chicago, we'd go broke. Because if everybody wanted a funeral dinner from us, it'd be 7 or 8 a week, and we couldn't keep up with that. But we do probably about, I would say 10 or 12 a year, maybe up to 15. I think we've had 1 year.
That's amazing.
But really, it's just something we provide for the community. That's one thing we do for the community to kind of help out.
Now, I know we have a brother at our lodge that does. I'm not even sure what his title is within the government of the community, but he's ran for office. He's been elected. He hasn't been elected and then reelected. Do you have anybody like that in your lodge, Todd?
No, not so much anybody politically motivated. In my home lodge, we had some guys who were in politics, and they would say that they were 30-degree Master Masons or even 32nd-degree Master Masons, but it seemed like come political season, they were out for give votes. They wouldn't come to the lodge and ask anybody to vote for them. They had that kind of integrity and that good a character that they wouldn't come to the lodge to politic. And even sometimes they would just, they were so busy working on the getting elected that they didn't have time for the lodge. And we didn't see them for like 3-4 months. And I called them up and asked why. I said, well, I'm running for office and I don't want anybody to think I'm using the lodge to get votes. I'm like, well, that's understandable.
Yeah, that's that's really nice.
I voted for both of them and everything, but they just didn't want people to say, well, he only got elected because the Masons elected him. I'm like, well, we don't have 250 members of our lodge, so I don't think that would have worked, but whatever.
Yeah, we only got about 180 something on our books, and 15 to 20 guys will show up.
But you think about back in the day, though, some of these bigger lodges, like say Indianapolis or even Chicago, would have 3,000-4,000 members of it, or even some of the big lodge, but that had 4 or 5 lodges that had 10,000 members in it, in different lodges, independent bodies. They could sway a vote one way or the other for some of the smaller political bodies or political offices. You just don't know.
Hey, man, I think that was a whole thing for the anti-Masonic party. I think people started seeing that, how many Masons were in places of power, and we're like, wait a second, we gotta figure this out. And it wasn't even mainly Masons; it was all fraternal secret societies, that had a target on their back for that. It wasn't just us. Everybody. That was a huge dip off for everyone. So
yeah, and it's like those smaller towns, those smaller communities that have they have 10,000 people in the community, but all the guys belong to lodge or belong to one of the fraternal orders somewhere in there. I mean, they see those guys, they're on the jury, they're attorneys, they're judges, but they all belong to lodge or something like that. So I can see back in the day people be a little bit scared of that because, some people probably did use it to their advantage. I mean, who am I to say?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure people are people. Every organization has people, and people are people. People are going to do things. There's, everybody has their own mind.
Speed ticket. I've gotten to have a speed ticket for being a Mason before.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit over, the guy brother tells you to slow down. It does happen from time to time.
Yeah.
Now sometimes they'll hammer you because you should know better.
Yeah, right. I've definitely heard those stories before.
Yeah, especially. So, how do I put this? So, if you're going to run for office as a Freemason, I don't recall anybody advertising that they were a Freemason. Do you guys recall that?
No, I don't.
The last person I ever saw there was the guy running for sheriff in the county I grew up in. But he didn't put that on his list of accomplishments.
Because back when they had the anti-Masonic party with the whole Morgan affair, was anybody at that time here in American politics running for office and displaying proudly that they're a Freemason, you should vote for them because they're a Freemason or anything? Was there anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of, but I did see some old like propaganda posters, where like it was like vote for me, and they had a square and compass as like a lapel, so like it's there but not there, and then I've also seen it the other way, like during the anti-Masonic party, people would be like, oh, he's a Mason, and like put him, that he was evil because he was a Mason, so I have seen it that way. But I think I just heard on a podcast recently that in Congress and stuff like that you don't have to disclose or anything your private groups or something like that. Like Masonry is almost like a protected class now. So
in England, to run for the House of Commons, I think you have to, or you would be the police officer. I think
we're the opposite.
You have to tell everybody you belong to lodge.
Yeah,
now you got to remember during the anti-Masonic movement, Andrew Jackson was running for re-election during that time, and he was a past Grand Master of the state of Tennessee, and was very vocal about Freemasonry while he was in office and everything. So that threw up the red flag right there to some anti-Masons that, well, see, they already got a Mason in the highest office in the land and everything. Who else is controlling this stuff? So that was one of the things that kind of, really irked the anti-Masons back in the day, because the president was a Master Mason. Hell, past Grand Master of the state. So
even today, though, it's still one of those things where, like, when people bring that up, and like I hear on a conspiracy theory show or something, they're like, "Oh my God!" But they're always, it's like, yeah, but they're from 15 lodges around the state. They might see each other all at one Masonic meeting at Grand Lodge, maybe, but like, they aren't like being able to conspire. Like, maybe privately they might meet and like hang out as friends, knowing that they're all friends and Masons, and you might meet each other at a big banquet somewhere and be like, oh, hey, we're both in politics, we should link up a little bit. But it's so hard for me to believe that Masons were conspiring throughout, when they were 3 days on horseback ride, and like, going to lodge used to be like, you'd stay the night at the local hotel and like stay. It was a whole deal. All the brothers would eat together, go out to the bars together after. Like, lodge was especially like the farming lodges, where they were solar lodges and they met on the moon. It was so that they had the high moon to be able to see, to get to lodge.
Go home.
Yeah.
It's just kind of crazy about all that stuff. Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, I just did a search to see if there was any kind of like political advertising for any candidates.
Great.
I don't see anything.
Oh, nothing came up. Dang.
No.
Well, and really, we're taught that politics isn't to be discussed in the Masonic Lodge. So I mean, if you want to wear a ring, lapel pin when you're out and about, and with your constituents, stuff like that, that's one thing.
Yeah, that's not political advertising. I'm just curious if anyone did try to do it, because
yeah,
I
have a Scottish Rite book that has a couple of those posters in it.
Right. But we've all seen businesses where it's like, man, are they Masons? Because they use the square and compass in a particular way, or they make like the wording look like it's the square and compass, or give you that illusion. Yeah. And I don't see anything up here like that. And honestly, I'm a little surprised.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, shoot. I mean, if you're an open Mason and you're proud about it, it's no different than wearing a Masonic T-shirt if you're gonna put it on your poster. I mean, you're definitely gonna get people saying, "Oh my God, he's looking to get that Mason vote," or
right. I mean,
but nowadays, if somebody's like, just because you're a Mason, somebody isn't going to go against all their political views just to vote for you because you're a Mason. When there's somebody that aligns with their natural views and values, you're going to vote where it matters, not because it's a Mason.
Yeah, no.
And I also think about obligation as a Mason to vote for another Mason. That isn't in any of our obligations is to put another Mason a foot ahead, or you have to vote for him because he's a Mason, or you have to give him the benefit of the doubt or cut him a deal.
He's a Mason. Are you going to vote for him? No. Well, why not? Well, he didn't learn his ritual the right way. What the heck?
He's passed on his dues.
You also got to look at all the politicians that have college fraternal connections.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Guys who belong to whatever college fraternity, I mean, there's a lot more of them in Congress and in politics than there are Masons. I guarantee you that.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh yeah, so, I do think the whole college alumni thing.
I think it goes both ways there.
Yeah, I think that's a stronger tie now than the fraternity of Freemasonry.
But dude, when you look at a lot of those Greek fraternities, they were started by Masons. A lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
I'm sure our ritual is the basis for a lot of other rituals out there.
Well, dude, and also I think a lot of those soror or fraternities and stuff, they have like a lot of Knights Templary stuff in there too, which is odd.
Really?
There's like a whole, I think so. I believe there's like a whole Templar thing, because I got big into reading all those Greek rituals, because I had a cousin, her husband was in a fraternity, and I asked him about their secret rituals, and he's like, well, my fraternity actually is the only fraternity who doesn't have secret rituals, and we're like anti-secret ritual. And then I was like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, oh, well, here's some of the ritual that we have from other people that like other Greek fraternities on campus. And they had a couple of their rituals, and dude, I just was like, oh my God, let me read, I got to read these. These are crazy. And dude, it was just like some hazing, but like, I remember one of them, and I'm trying to think of it's one of the biggest fraternity. Like, it's at, it was in DeKalb. But man, yeah, they had one that was like, it was basically like Knights Templar, but it had the founders were Masons and probably Knights Templar and created it, but like nothing in it was Freemasonry. It wasn't like a feeder group for it. Like a lot of the guys didn't even know what Masonry was. And I'm like, well, dude, this is like commandery, dude. This is like Knights Templar. But that was even before I was in Templar.
Well, I know I had a treasurer in my lodge tell me when his son got his fellowcraft degree, one of his professors came and gave him the obligation, and he said a paragraph at a time, and he repeated back a paragraph at a time. So they're both in the same college fraternity. He said that the obligation was that close together.
Wow!
But they took it from the fellowcraft, not from the Master Mason.
Yeah,
if I remember that story right. So yeah, a lot of these college fraternities, they were based off of Freemasonry, because A lot of guys are joining lodge, and then, hey, I want to start a club here at my college, blah blah blah, and there is a college fraternity. There is a college fraternity based on Freemasonry too,
and it might have been more of a feeder organization back then. Like, oh, let me inspire you with a little bit of skullduggery and mystery, and then once you're out in society, then it turns you into you get into the big boy fraternities.
Now I know when I visited my friends in college after I joined lodge, and everything, I could master my lodge at the time. No, I was too old for that, but while I was still going through the chairs, I was wearing my ring and hanging out a bunch of them. And one of them goes, "Oh, you trying to get Eric to join the Masons?" I'm like, honestly, I hadn't even talked to him. My buddy Eric, I haven't talked to him about it yet. I said, he's still in college. You don't have time to join lodge. I said, how do you know what the Masons are? He goes, oh, I'm really big into fraternalism and everything. I'm like, well, you're the only one I've ever met. So
yeah.
he don't even knew what it was. So, but yeah, he planned on joining after he got out of college. But of course, I never saw the guy again. But we're talking about the all the politicians and being Masons and everything. There's a lot more out there that are Greek fraternity than they ever be Masonic fraternity.
Oh, so yeah, absolutely.
Why don't the conspiracy guys go after the Greek fraternities for controlling the world?
Because shout out
those are the societies they can't see.
Bishop Lady Later Gary. Oh man, I can't even think of his name. It's like something Southern. There's a guy. He's a bishop, like Larry Gator, maybe. I don't even know what his name is. You'd have to Google him, but he hits all the Greek fraternities on the conspiracy circuits, dude.
Wait. Larry Gator?
Like Larry Gator or something.
Oh, yeah, Larry Gator, not Larry Gary.
Yeah.
Larry Gator?
I don't know, dude. It's something like that. But he's like
Larry Gateland? No, that's a singer. Larry Gates? No, that's an actor.
Brothers.
Yeah. It's something hilarious. And he's always talking about the Boule Society. And what's the other group that he says? There's another one, and he's on it, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't find anything. I get One Direction and
Bishop. You got to type in Bishop Larry Gators, dude. Yeah, you got to put the Bishop
Larry. Okay.
Yeah, he's the bishop.
He's a bishop of a church. Don't even have anything else.
No.
Bishop Larry Sullivan.
Dude. And I think maybe, yeah, he hates Freemasonry.
Wait,
he hates all secret societies.
Bishop Larry Gators.
Gators. Type in a Boule Society or put in like Kobe or any of those, dude. Yeah, anybody who's a sports athlete, this guy's like, oh, they owe the college fraternities. The college fraternities got them into the NBA, and the teams that the schools pick, they train them into these secret societies through the schools. And
so much for community. All right.
So here he's a nationally syndicated radio host, journalist, and CEO of Global Spiritual Revolution Media Group based in New York and Los Angeles, known as Bishop John Wick on social media.
Yeah, dude's wild, man.
So
this guy is something else.
This is his AI profile.
Oh yeah,
that's what I got.
Yeah, he does some
Luciferian Project allegations.
Oh yeah. See Kobe Bryant. Yeah.
The Buell Secret Society. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah. He's in all
Secret Society.
Yeah, he's in all these different Greek and they're all like tied around athletes and stuff.
Wow.
I know nothing about it, so hopefully we're not blowing the lid off somebody's cover, but
there you go.
He's probably going to put this up on his Instagram that we're even talking about him. Yeah.
Gators contends that the Buell Society, formed by influential African Americans, operates as agents for a broader global elite to control the Black community. That's first time I've ever heard of that.
Yeah.
Here,
well, look at his podcast appearance.
Yeah.
And so
Divine Nine.
Yeah, they're like tied into like
fraternities.
Freemasonry and all this crazy stuff. Yeah, dude, he's hilarious though, dude. And he just runs at 100 miles an hour too, dude. So, yeah, his interviews are really funny to listen to.
I'll have to look that up further.
It's strange people like him who just
hang on. I gotta take a pause real quick.
All right. Yeah, but like I said, it's just strange how some guys like him, they're so convinced that the strings are being pulled by somebody else that it drives me crazy. Like 99% of the time, no one knows what's going on. No one knows what's happened. Now, the bomb in Iraq, was that kind of wagging the dog a little bit? Maybe the FD file has something to do with that. I don't know. But they're never going to tell us either, so it don't matter.
No, I don't, people just are afraid of what they don't know.
Yes, well, they don't understand, and they'll listen to somebody who sounds smarter than they are.
Well, yeah, because if it sounds smart, therefore it must be smart, right?
Right.
It's, especially when you're all hyped up on something, right? And I don't mean drugs or anything, but you're just hyped up on a subject, and you're just going and going, and then somebody says something that sounds very logical to you at that time. Obviously, you're going to go with it, and it could be completely wrong and off basis. Oh, yeah. But because it sounds logical and smart, people, even you, will go for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it just, I don't know. I get so sick and tired of everybody saying, "Oh, the Masons are controlling the world." It's like, we're not trying to control nothing. We're trying to make the world better by having a higher standard, keeping ourselves to a higher standard.
Yeah.
We don't want to gossip about each other. We don't want to put each other down. We're always trying to build each other up, and we're trying to build the whole world around us up at the same time by using, the allegories and the symbols we learn in Masonry. And you tell people that, like, no, that's not right. Like, okay, all right, sure. We just made it all up just to have a club,
I mean, it is pretty much all made up, right?
Oh yeah, but
yes, and
about that, but it's all allegory. We had a commenter a couple of weeks back say something, and I'm like, no, everything we do is allegorical, and he didn't know what allegorical was. I put it up there, and he's like, that's not what it means. I'm like,
Wes, it's from time immemorial.
Well, yeah. I got the Webster's dictionary, for him, and I put it out there. He's just, that's not what it is. Okay, well, I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, you got to remember,
people are going to believe whatever they want to believe. He just, it doesn't matter.
You got to remember, all legends, all stories came from somewhere, happening, and it's been a game of telephone for years and years and years, where the story gets changed a little bit, or someone makes it a little more interesting for the next story, or, hey, this don't fit for my narrative, but I'm going to change it to this to fit my narrative. And they get taken for gospel after a while. I've heard guys argue about the Bible. Some of the stuff in the Bible, it's 100% true, but it's been so translated differently, and different people have different point of views of it, that's kind of got angelized and just changed. That it in the beginning it was true, now it's something totally different.
Yeah,
I heard one guy say that Jesus walked on water. Well, how do we know what the sandbar he was walking on? No one knew it was there. It may have been a miracle to those guys. You also got to remember, electricity was a miracle. Yeah, remember, electricity would have been a miracle to people back then.
He's riding on a hydrofoil,
yeah. Electricity would be considered a miracle back then.
But all the stuff we're taught in Masonry came from something else. It came from other kind of, as far as the builders and everything. And I've always said this way: a guy becomes so enthralled in his job that he does it so well that he understands it to such a level to where he does see it as like, making this stone square is like trying to make myself square. Okay, I get that. Or trying to keep myself level, having a square deal with my friends, like using that level to keep everything level. I mean, it's just, you got to think, once you become that high of a master of your profession, that, yeah, you're going to look deeper into it. You're going to find more meaning into it. Like, I don't think guys these days do stuff like that because, honestly, jobs are repetitive and boring. Back then, you were known as a craftsman. You were a well-respected man for being able to do your job well. I think it kind of made people were kind of all of you, the blacksmith, the farrier, the wheelwright, whatever it is those guys who never had a return their job, always did their job well. People were, highly respected, were kind of all of them too.
And those were the kind of people that also founded these towns too, so when you look at a town that was founded in the Masonic lodges there, and you're like, oh, well, there's a blacksmith and a banker and this and that, and they were all Masons. Like, well, dude, that's why, because they were all craftsmen. They all have been, dedicated to working their art. And, when you're that advanced, you can look back and see like how you affect the community and like where, and, yeah, of course. And then not only that, but for them to see together, like, man, we could pool our money together and have like, the life insurance things they used to do. How they used to do the grave markers, or like, the lodge would buy your grave plot, or they'd buy cemetery plots from the lodge and shit like that. There are so many different weird things the lodges have done over the hundreds of years,
The graveyard my parents or my grandparents are in is a Masonic graveyard. It's owned by the Masons. I forget what lodge owns it, but it's owned by that lodge and taken care of by that lodge. So it's like, cool. So if you're a Mason there, they got anybody can be buried there, of course. But
yeah.
If you're a Mason there, you have a spot there. I mean, they always have spots open. Now, when I was master of my home lodge, my treasurer came to me and said, I think we own 12 grave sites at the town cemetery.
Dude, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's crazy.
At one point, we own like 50 of them. I'm like, what's the point of that? Because I was too young to really realize back then. He goes, well, used to we had a member who was old and destitute, didn't have the money. We'd give that member the grave site for free, because we owned them and everything. I think by the time I was master, we had like 3 or 4 left, and we ended up selling them to one of the churches for like a pretty good.
How much did you sell them for? You froze up a little bit.
I think they were $5,000 a piece.
Whoa.
Okay.
If I remember right, I think there were 3 of them, so then $1,500 or $15,000.
Well, yeah, I mean, dude, if you want a family plot though, or like you're like thinking of doing something like that, I mean, dude, or another really cool topic here, while we're kind of on this and in the communities, dude, you go to any local cemetery and just take a look around in the older section, and you'll see a lot of Masonic gravestones, or you'll see a lot of big mausoleums built up. Where those were families of Mason, and the whole family was in there. You can see a lot of Egyptian symbolism on there. Sometimes they'll have Rosicrucian, or they'll have Masonic stuff.
I know in the Tipton city cemetery up there, you saw a lot of keystones, a lot of obelisks. Obelisk with keystones on it, square and compasses on it. But then there's a whole section, I guess the Catholic Church bought like this whole section of it, and they got a big giant crucifix in the middle of it, and all these like really ornate sculpture stuff they had made, put into it, stuff like that. So, the big churches would buy big plots of it, and the lodges would buy big plots of the graveyards.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one thing to do for the community that way too. But I mean, it's kind of funny how at one point, you think about, Oddfellows lodges, they owned a bunch of graveyards. They had a bunch of graveyards around the country. If I remember right, there's a lodge here, there's a cemetery somewhere here in Indiana. I forget exactly where it's at, but it has a lodge set up in the middle of it. It's got an altar, the 3 chairs.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen that. It's a full lodge. Yeah, the whole deal.
And it's like, right there in the middle of the cemetery.
Like an eternal lodge, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. And I can't remember. It's over by like the Illinois border somewhere, and I cannot remember where I saw that. I drive a truck back.
Anybody knows, leave it in the comments.
I've seen the photos of it. Yeah, it's like all cut in granite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all granite, all squared. I mean, it's really pretty. It's been taken well care of, but
we should do a
degree. I think it's Fisher, Indiana, if I remember right.
Do like a nighttime degree.
That'd be kind of cool. A little creepy.
Dude, that'd be wild. We have a mausoleum here, Acacia Cemetery in Chicagoland, and maybe once a year, usually different lodges, usually Hinsdale, will do a degree in there. And I've been.
I heard you talk about that before.
Yeah, I've been to a third degree there. One time I seen a triple degree, third, and then I've been there another time for a third degree. But
I bet the echo in there is.
Oh, loud. Dude, it's huge. Well, when the very first time I went, Wes told me about it and was telling me about how cool it was, and he was saying it was in a mausoleum. So I was thinking maybe 15, 13 people in there, you know, and I show up, dude, this place is 3, 5, 7 stairs to get in. It's absolutely massive. Looks like a Greek castle. I'm like, yo, dude, this is nuts. Big, huge ass brass doors on the front with square compasses. It's gorgeous. Wow. Absolutely beautiful building. Yeah. And then, you know, it was 40 people at the degree, you know, you're like, oh shit.
That's a lot of people.
While you're doing the degree, there you got the brothers are buried in the walls. You know, like a whole section in the basement for urns for the ashes. Wow! Oh, dude, yeah, it's just like a little box where the casket is, and then it has like a little Scottish Rite eagle on the front, and you're like, whoa, dude! Like cool. He's right here, dude. Brothers right here.
No, in Indiana, Bowling Green, Indiana, which is about an hour north of me, they have a castle up there. Someone built a castle out of nowhere.
I think I just came across that. Hold on.
Yeah, we talked about this last year. We wanted to make it to the castle.
It's got a drawbridge and everything?
I think so, yeah. But I was supposed to go up last year. My buddies, one of my good buddies from Elwood, town over from Tipton, his son got his third degree in that castle. And I paid for my dinner. I paid for my way up there. I woke up that morning. And I had one of those sore throats and headaches that I'm like, I just can't make it. I was like, I've already paid. I paid like $50 for the dinner and everything. And
is this it?
I had to call my buddy. I said, dude, I cannot make it. I am sick as a dog. Where is that at?
Is this it?
No, it's much bigger than that.
That's like a mausoleum one. This is like a real castle.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's in Bowling Green, Indiana. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Awesome. People just don't do mausoleums like that anymore, man.
No.
The Nicolas Cage one in New Orleans is like a pyramid.
What?
I think Nicolas Cage is a pyramid one. And is it in Vegas? I don't know. Wherever it is. I thought it was in New Orleans. Here in I guess I was going to say here in Naperville. I don't even live there anymore. In the Naperville area, their cemetery, dude, there's 2 or 3 really cool old school Egyptian temples, like fully built up mausoleums. Like they are just absolutely gorgeous.
Is this it right here?
That's a Clay Clayshire Castle. Yeah, that's it right there. I just seen a link for it too, so don't disregard that.
All right.
Yeah, my buddy, his son got his Master Mason degree in that building.
So I mean, dude,
Lodge.
What a cool thing that is for the community, man. Oh, yeah. Like to be able to use venture outside of your lodge and take part in cool places in your community. So like what do? You just reach out for a dispensation?
Yeah, pretty much. So, Grand Lodge,
is there a criteria for Grand Lodge? Like, I know Masonic lodges meet in churches and stuff, but like, and we've done outdoor degrees on people's farms and things like that. But like, what I wonder what that is like. What are the criteria for dispensation to do a degree somewhere?
Well, I know in Indiana we have to move our charter outside our lodge. We have to call Grand Lodge, get dispensation and letter and everything. And then we can only have it like for a day or for like 2 days or whatever outside the lodge. But we had to get dispensation to move it There's certain places we don't have to. If like we're going to do go to the Schofield House where they found the Grand Lodge of Grand Lodge of Indiana, we don't need to do that. But there's certain things we can get away with without asking Grand Lodge. But here, I'll send you this other link.
And you know what I was thinking too? I don't know if you need dispensation to do this, but instead of bringing everything, you could just, draw the art on a chalkboard or something.
Yeah.
Like Masons
I don't
used to
think
do back in the day.
Well, I was thinking of something completely stupid, like to do like, you know how we do like a Grand Masters class, to be like, oh my God, we're going to do like one at the, like down on the Blackhawk ice or like in the Bull State, like something, like something super duper random and wild. Where like,
how many hips would be broken if we did it on the ice?
No, oh my God.
No, I know, but like
we just make sure everyone's got
rubber
skates.
mats, not the
Masonic ice capades,
like just something.
I feel sorry for the candidate walk on ice.
Or like do it at Soldier Field, like do a 3rd degree in the middle of Soldier Field, like that would be random as hell.
Really
it
cool.
would be super cool. Yeah.
I mean, could you get enough guys there to fill up Soldier Field?
No, but I mean, could you
do
it? Yeah, I don't know like what the thing is like, to do that. I don't know if like you obviously like the Staples Center or something, you couldn't get it private enough, to because of all the workers and security, so how would you do something?
I'm sure you can get it rent something out like that for a Grand Lodge event.
Oh, for like a Grand Lodge event, yes, but I'm talking like just do a 3rd degree, dude. Yeah, like.
Well, where did they?
Where's the most elaborate 3rd degree been done at? Like,
dude, we couldn't even afford to turn on a lamp in that place.
Well, where did the Grand Lodge of England do like your 300-year celebration? Was that like Royal Albert Hall or something like that, or?
I don't
that
even
place
know.
Was huge.
Yeah. I remember looking at the photos and some video clips of after it happened.
Wasn't it at Freemasons Hall in England?
I think it was
bigger than that.
Yeah, because dude, it was like so many people. It was insane, dude.
I think they had like 3,000 people show up for it.
Yeah, it was like 2 days of introductions.
It was like the only time they've ever had the entire Grand Lodge of England in one room in like the last 100-something years.
Wow.
From Prince, whatever his name is, down to the lowest like provincial Grand Master and all his staff. The first time they all been in the same room forever. And then every other lodge sent their master or guest or whoever went there. And they said there's like over 3,000 people in that building. Well, did you see that link I sent you about the Schofield House?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where our Grand Lodge was founded.
Hold on a second.
In 1818. And now our Grand Lodge owns that building.
How cool.
And we can do fellow crafts and enterprise there, but it's too small to do a master.
Did you guys record there? Didn't you guys do a show there?
No, we're working on it. We were supposed to, and Jerry got busy. We had to cancel.
What was the other place? You guys went somewhere else to like that lodge. It was like a tiny lodge or one of the founding lodges or something like that.
We went to Newburgh Lodge. And then we went to Bedford Lodge. And then
historic, I thought. What's that tiny lodge where you guys talk about like you can't even get 2 guys walking next to each other?
Oh, that's New London. That's up around Kokomo. Yeah, we haven't been there yet. Okay. But it's so tiny. If a guy my size going as candidate and I'm senior deacon, we can't walk between the altar and the junior ward at the same time. It's too narrow. It's tiny. And we have packed that place.
The colonial lodges back in the day, you see some of the old drawings and stuff, how tiny it's just.
That's when dinner plates were 20 inches round. So.
Yeah.
Well, remember, a lot of them met in tents during like the war and everything. They'd meet like in big canvas tents. And how many you fit 15 guys in there, maybe 10.
Military lodges probably have the coolest place they've done degrees for sure, I bet. Do degrees on an aircraft carrier.
So this is
the Schofield House. and it's set up. That's the upstairs of the Schofield house. Yeah, it used to be a tavern.
Cool.
Back in the day, and that's where guys actually sleep up there.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. Yeah, how cool.
Yeah, but you can every lodge can move their charter there with no dispensation. They just got set up with the Schofield house to get time to do it.
So what about that's another thing too, you guys? Back in the day when your Masonic lodge used to be a place of boarding, when they were connected to when like lodges, like and things like people would come in town, you'd have the brewery, the lodging, and then all that would be right there, and your Masonic hall would meet above it,
Right.
Because Wes, remember when we went to the Valley of Madison and we got that crazy tour, and they have a whole entire safe room, and they said that back in the day, people would travel there, and they'd have their gold or their money, and then they'd put it in the safe, and then while they were there on their vacation, they could come back and take and pull their money out.
Yep.
And they had rooms there that they would stay. So if you were a Mason, or actually, I just heard this on, I think on the Masonic Roundtable, they were talking about Masonic buildings where people used to be able to stay in the building. So if you were traveling to, say, St. Louis to go to the degrees, they would have a few rooms for out-of-town brothers that you could stay for free and be able to like crash there, or back in the day when lodges used to even have like a caretaker, somebody who would live in the building and, take care of the building 24/7, the big halls,
That's how that Schofield house is. There's the guy that lives there full time and takes care of the place.
Oh, see how cool.
And his living room is actually the preparation room for the degrees.
That's wild.
Well, back in, I'm not sure exactly what time period, but we'll say like 1800s, when you used to have to travel on horseback to go to a lodge, it was within the length of your cable tow. And now, from what I understand, that's 15 miles. Okay. And once you go 15 miles, that's pretty much your whole day or half the day. Now you're going to do the meeting, and then you're going to have to go another 15 miles in the dark, through uncharted territory sometimes, other than the path to the lodge, let's say. They're not going to do that. They're going to stay.
Think how crazy it was to travel to grand sessions back in the day, how elaborate and, how big of a deal that was,
Well, I remember our Founders Day we have every year in January. We have around the time the Grand Lodge got founded. They got founded in January of 1818. They talked about guys, go to Madison, Indiana, which is basically north of Louisville on the Ohio River, about I think an hour, maybe 45 minutes north of Louisville. The guys from Vincennes would travel by horseback all the way across the state in January. Cold as hell to be, but would travel by coach or by horseback, whatever, to go and start that Grand Lodge. Or they come up from, Vincennes, Blazing Star, Charlestown, New Albany, that part of the area, and Corydon. But it was still a day trip for some, or actually a week-long trip for some of those guys to go and found the Grand Lodge. Think of how much dedication it took back then.
Yeah, this is something outside of your normal daily invocation job, this is something they were doing for, like, that's dedication, man. Like,
yeah.
But also at the same time,
in those time periods, trying to set something up, it's very difficult. And I wonder what, let's say, possessed, any Grand Lodge to do it in the middle of winter.
Dude, you got to think the fellowship, man, the celebration, libation.
Now I'm thinking from the establishment of any Grand Lodge in the United States. Okay, let's say this is the 1800s. Okay, just say 1800s. Now we're going to establish a Grand Lodge. Let's do it in the dead of winter when it's really hard to travel and the ground is frozen. I don't know if that's what every Grand Lodge decided, but it seems like that to me.
Pass a vote. Yeah, they're thinking about future.
Also, there's no farming. There's no no one's in the fields at the time, stuff like that. But also, at the time they found the Grand Lodge of Indiana, they were also founding the state of Indiana. So they had a bunch of guys in the Corydon and I think New Albany and Chesterton. They kind of met at several different places. but they're writing the Indiana Constitution and getting all the laws that they set up for Indiana. I think, and this is kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing, but they said that the reason they found the Grand Lodge then because they had guys in the Congress that didn't want to run the Grand Lodge. So they kind of did when they were already predisposed. Now I don't know if that's true or not, but they said it's kind of coincidence that the same time they were writing the Constitution for Indiana, at the same time they were founding the Grand Lodge of Indiana. So yeah, they all them important guys, the influential guys who were in there getting the government set up. All the rest of them were getting the Grand Lodge set up.
Well, and even a lot of that
either way, but
yeah, that early documentation, a lot of that stuff is written the same. Like the way they, the way we report our minutes and the secretary's reports and stuff, is how those, those early groups like that, they kind of based off of us and structured. Well, this is how we're going to set up our local government here. And then this is how we're going to set up this,
Yeah, I know Chris Hodap, he had a good podcast with, I think one of the Grand Lodge of Canada does a podcast. I think Mystic Ty, if I remember right, but he talked about that after the revolution, no one really knew what to do. They didn't know how to vote. No country had ever their own leadership. It's always been the kings or whoever's been in charge. But they said that's when they turned to the Masons. The Masons go, well, we've been voting for our own leadership forever. So here's how you do this. Everybody gets one vote, blah, blah, blah. Have a certain day. And that's kind of that's where our voting came from the Masons, because we've always voted for our own leadership. And America won the revolution. No one really knew what to do. No one knew how to do it. Now he's more eloquent than I am. So don't, if you want to check it out, I think it's on the Mystic Tie podcast, if I remember right. But he got a real good talk about it. And I think y'all just froze up on me. Nope, there you go.
Brock, does that podcast sound familiar to you? You're the podcast guru.
Yeah.
I think they're out of the East Coast or West Coast of Canada, if I remember right. But he went there and spoke, and he did a podcast night before, and kind of opened my eyes a lot. Because if you ever hear Chris Hodap speak, he can blow your mind away. But that was one of the ones I've heard, and it really kind of opened my eyes up to where I always thought, Masons founded the United States. Well, we kind of did. If you think about it, we kind of took our ideals and put them out there in the Constitution, not as far as the Constitution, but as far as just kind of way everything's ran. You got one guy and you got two guys below him, then you got guys below them, and it kind of works out that way.
I mean, I see it as it was based off of some Masonic principles, not everything.
Not totally,
but I mean, it's the basic thing of, like we were talking with the blacksmith. You have the master blacksmith, and then you have his apprentice, and you have his skilled craftsmen, that work with him, and then something happens to him, and the next guy moves up, his son takes over it's like, it's just kind of the structure of how humans do education and seniority and, passing on the torch.
Right. Well, the worshipful master of the lodge can't, be worshipful master and say, hey, I'm going to stay in this position until, my son comes up to power. There's no nepotism like that. Now, you might have been master one year, and then 20, 30 years later, your son comes in and he becomes worshipful master. I don't think that's nepotism. Right. That's just the way things work.
A little legacy.
Yeah, I remember Washington could have been president until he died. There was they weren't going to vote him out of office at all. He stepped down, and they say he stepped down because I said that's what good leaders do. He learned that from Masonic Lodge. Now, I kind of see it either way. I think he just tired when to go back home.
Yeah, right. He'd had done enough by that point. Damn, dude.
If he had wanted to, they would have elected him until he passed away. Because he won by landslide, wasn't even opposed to be the first president. But he said, it's time for me to. You say it's time for me to go home and let someone else do this. And he gave up the power because he could have been basically king of the United States for as long as he needed to be. And then who knows if he would have appointed his son or stepsons, whatever, to take over for him. But he knew the importance of elected our own leadership, not appointing our leadership, and he stepped down and let the election happen. Did I blow your mind away?
No. I was just thinking, like, wow, we really got off of community service and
Back to George Washington, baby. This is Freemasonry.
It's just another Saturday night. It's not a
big deal at all. I can't have a Saturday without talking about George Washington.
Yeah, it's not
Saturday night. I always want to start a content where I always want to do content with George, because every lodge had a picture of George Washington on the wall.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to, do a little comedy thing with me asking George questions and answering him in a different voice or something like that. Just flashing on his picture to go back and forth. I thought that'd be hilarious.
Do it how we were talking about that other video. Do it how Conan did it and just cut George's mouth out.
Yeah.
And have somebody else do it.
Yeah.
Todd, don't you worry, I'm watching you, brother. You're just kneeling at the altar. Oh, why, George, have I been forsaken for this today? And, I'm right here. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
That's a hilarious skit. Yeah, we got to do that.
Give a really high-pitched voice.
If you leave out hemp and cherry pie and you open your lodge in form without any mistakes, George Washington comes out.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Well, I know my daughter thought it. She's been into a bunch of Masonic lodges now, and she's like, why is George Washington in all of them? And I'm like, well, he was a Mason, he's like one of the best Masons ever. And she's like, well, is that why you guys put him on the money? And I'm like, well, I don't know who put him on the money. That wasn't us. But, I'm like, but yeah, he's on there.
Yeah, well, I don't know why we decided to put our presidents on the money.
You got to put somebody on there.
Yeah. Well, she just sees the triangle and the all-seeing eye on the back, and George Washington is like, oh, that's the lodge.
That's a whole conspiracy.
Do you find her just staring at
rabbit hole?
Oh, yeah. I got it framed up at my house. Are you kidding me?
That's the whole rabbit hole right there.
Yeah.
The all-seeing eye in the back of dollar bill.
Yeah, I got mine. I got it blown up, and I got all the letters circled that spell Mason on it. Yeah, I got it all blown up. And I got a little owl in the corner too.
Yeah.
Wasn't that
added later though?
Dollar bill.
Wasn't the owl added
you know
later?
what though, dude? The craziest thing ever, and this is a whole entire rabbit hole. But I think that the money system is like, have you guys ever seen the correlation between like advanced mathematics and origami? Have you guys ever heard of this?
I've heard something about that. I've never.
Okay, so
never looked into it.
If you take like an animal shape, like an origami shape that looks like an animal, that's like really well done. If you unfold it, it makes like a sacred geometry pattern. So the pattern in the paper reflects, it creates this animal, right? And so there's like cancer scientists and like biology scientists who use advanced origami mathematics folds to try to use that to like break cells in cancer and shit like that or whatever.
Huh,
really?
So interesting.
Well, because of the weird techniques of like how the paper's folded in the shapes and how it's so hard to, it's like kind of talking like between like the paper is second dimension, and when you fold it in a mathematical way, it creates a third dimensional object. So like,
okay,
if thinking of us in a third dimension, thinking of how would we create a fourth dimension, like what would be the origami of that fourth dimension? What would we use to create, like what would be the math that would create that dimension or the scale of it? So Salvador Dali used to draw like a cross unfolded or a cube exploded, the hypercube. would do that as a reflection of what because like when you think of dimensional mathematics, you can only see a higher dimension in its shadow. You can't, you can only see a projection of its shadow of the dimension or something like that. Like
you can't see all sides of a three-dimensional object.
It's like the shape of the projection of it. So
are you talking about that theory? Like, okay, if
I gotta go to the bathroom,
if there's a string, okay, people only see two directions, forwards and back, when actually there's more directions than that. If you take a bug walking across this line, the bug will go underneath and sideways all over it to get to it, creating different paths to get to the same ending or beginning. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, that's a fold. So like, that's like a, this is hilarious. Yes. So yes, that whole thing. So on paper, you can do the same thing. Like you put the bug and then you spin the corner of the paper, then turn the other thing. And it's like infinite. He could walk from the back side of the paper to the front side of the paper, going from one end of the paper to the other side of the paper, and on an endless loop forever. Yeah,
because it's like a dimensional. I forget what it's called, but I've seen. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
you only see one way to go, but there's actually multiple ways within that direction. You can't see it because we're used to gravity being on one plane, and we can only go upright. I can't remember what it's called. Watch a bunch of weird
deep
stuff.
now.
Yeah, I know. Well, dude, there's this whole. I remember watching this crazy documentary about this. This dude, he's a crazy mathematician and physicist, and he brought up his son completely homeschooled and in physics, and his son is like one of the world's greatest origami builders, and he builds these crazy geometric forms out of origami, and he can just see the mathematics. It's very, very bizarre the way he does. But then in the documentary, they talk about how the things that they, I don't even know how they can use it for disease and blah, blah, blah. And yeah.
That'd be interesting to see. I know I was kind of blown away the other day. We had a guy come up our lodge and give us lodge education on the several liberal arts and sciences. And he pointed out that our numbering system, 1 through 9, let's call it 9, is all based on the angles of the numbers.
Yeah. It's all Arabic numbers based on the angle.
I guess I didn't have good enough teacher to explain that to me, but it kind of blew my mind that even in numbers, writing numbers, we talk about the angles and the how many right hand or right angles and everything are in the numbers. That's a number. Like, wow, it just kind of blew my mind. Because you don't get taught that stuff.
No,
one of the things that bothers me is why didn't anyone say, hey, have you guys ever noticed this?
Well, think about it. When we write our 3, it's 2 backward C's basically, and then what's a 5? A right angle and then another C. Okay, it's not taught. Everything
1, 2, 3, 4, 5
is on a right angle or a 90-degree angle. That's not how we're taught. We're taught elegantly. Okay, so it looks pretty, and it does look pretty.
Penmanship, yeah.
But when you square it out like that, it doesn't look pretty. It looks pretty archaic. But it's like that for a reason.
Yeah,
we're just not taught.
If I had to send it, I had to record some of this guy's stuff. He does the Masonic education thing. It was a deck of cards. It just blows my mind. He made it up on his own and everything. He's like a whole mentorship thing on a deck of cards. And it's just so neat. He'll set up an entire log that card to explain what each card means and what allegorical, what moral lesson it is and everything. It's very, very neat. But this guy, he's 45? He's already got a 33rd degree. He's past master of his lodge. I mean, he just has a great mind for masonry.
Yeah, he's killing it. That's awesome.
I have to introduce you guys to him sometime, but he's got a brain that just does not stop on masonry.
Yeah, let's get him on.
He's the guy we brag about being. he did he listened to our episode of Third Ruffians on the Three Ruffians.
Oh, he's the one that
went
did
deeper
the
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the actual law dedication. He got the inspiration from us, which Jared keeps telling everybody, well, was for us, he would have done that. Like, well, he would have figured out something later. But,
hey, man, I don't know if it's the chicken or the egg there, but I'm glad that it happened. Yeah.
But yeah, he every time he does the law dedication for us, he just blows my mind because
he did one of
several little arts and sciences, and he's like, holy crap, you made it. You finally explained where I can understand it, but you made it where he went so deep into it, like even, as far as liberal, figured out where the Greek term from liberal comes from. It actually means free arts. You break it all the way down and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, free. It doesn't, it's not a political thing. Liberal means free, to give liberally.
Right.
Freely. Yes.
Which I'm just a meathead football, baseball player. I didn't pay that close attention in high school. So you know what I mean?
Not a lot of us did. So
not too many chasing road and play sports. But
well, dude, and you like forget about it, you start working, you have kids, you're distracted by whatever, you don't really think about all that shit. And then now that you're chilling and reading books again and taking a little more retrospective path in life, you can kind of reflect back on those things. And like we were talking about the guys, the old craftsmen, who are like, now this ruler, I could break my day up into this ruler. You're right. This tool does reflect my more than what it just is, I live by this ruler.
Timmy and Susie got to go to soccer practice. The fourth rule of Euclidean math can, wait a little while.
And that's the other thing is we don't have that time to sit around and think anymore. I remember Evan Hafer.
That's what I mean. Timmy and Susie got soccer practice. You got to go do that. You don't have time for it. It's not. Things are just different nowadays than they were back then. We've got more things to take up our time.
Yeah, Evan Hafer was talking about that on the podcast he was on. He's the founder of Black Rifle Coffee, and he was saying you got to remember, guys back in the day when they were traveling by horse, they didn't have a radio, they didn't have a Walkman. They had, if they traveled, they probably had one book with them that they read 25 times,
or a journal. And in your journal you would write your thoughts. As you rode that horse for 8 hours. You would think about something. Dude, and you would write it down, dude. And like that's the thing I find the most amazing about guys who like Masons who are writing books or something. Like we had a guy a couple oh shit, hang on. Perfect. Great time to do. Got this book right here from this brother. Hopefully we're gonna get him on the show someday.
Yes, I saw that.
He came out. He's a high school English teacher, and he's the master of his lodge in Wilmington, which is a town pretty close to me here. And he came out and spoke about this book he put together, and basically, it's a Mason's journey, but it's broken down into like simple, not necessarily lessons, but like questions and reflections and things or whatever. But dude, man, listening to that dude and talking and hearing him talk about his students and like how we got to really work on Masonry, man, to get these younger kids interested in Masonry. But dude, I just found it so interesting, dude, that outside of him being a Mason, master of his lodge, and he had time to write this book. And I'm like, well, dude, how did you come with original ideas to write it and these ideas for these like little workshops and like, contemplation things, and he's got his reasons and how he came about it and, how, he's passionate about it and you work it in your schedule and you get it done. But to me, I thought, man, dude, between all the podcasts I listen to and like all the conversations I'm having, like sometimes I wonder if I can even have an original thought because I have so much stuff being influenced into me that it's like, am I reflecting off of this because I heard it on this show and now I'm regurgitating my belief based off of like my opinion and his opinion and then what he heard from somebody else. And I'm like, to sit down and do the research or to have a thought and to think it out for 6 hours, and that's all you're thinking about.
Yeah.
But Brock, I would say that's what Masonry is. You're taking stone from the mountain, carving it out, and and putting it into your own building. So you're taking the knowledge from somewhere else, the pieces of that, shaping it into your own, and placing it. I think exactly what you just said. That's
well, dude, and it applies to kind of the topic that we were talking about about our community. You know, I think that Masons are working on making themselves better, and in that you can see that you can also make your community better by taking these small little efforts. You know, volunteering here, picking up trash on the side of the highway here, cleaning up a river or a beach. It's those small things, and putting up your sign, you know, and leaving these little breadcrumbs around the community of like, oh, well, the Masons clean this highway, and oh, they sponsor this creek cleanup, and you know, oh, the Masons, they sponsor this Japanese garden. Because like I know man, I can't think of the name, Geneva Lodge, they sponsor that really beautiful Japanese garden across the river from the Fabian Society. And
oh wow.
Oh, dude, yes. It is absolute, dude. The Fabian Society's got these awesome old Egyptian parks. It's a beautiful little park to walk through, and then right across from it, across the river, is this Japanese garden, and it is beautiful, dude. It's a traditional Japanese garden, and it's like got a whole
stone gardens.
Yeah, the water, the little archway bridge over the water, everything, dude.
Like the gravel that plays a certain way.
Yep. And in the Masonic Lodge, they like, I don't know how much, or they just financially do it, but I know that like the signs there when you walk up, this is maintained and sponsored by the Geneva Masonic Lodge. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
I wish more lodges would do stuff like that. I know the entrance to the park in Tipton, where I grew up, was paid for by the Eastern Star back in the day. Had a thing on their entrance. Paid and donated from the Rosary chapter. I forget the number of it, but yeah, that Eastern Star's not around anymore. But at one point, they had this big, stone, elegant, stone and wrought iron arc built up on the entrance of the park and everything. And I wish more lodges would do stuff like that to help out their community and build more stuff. But at the same time, how many lodges have that kind of money laying around? I mean, that's probably 500. Let's say I think it was built in the 20s, so it may cost $1,000 in the 20s. It wasn't $1,000 now compared to 20s money.
So what would you guys think about, like we were talking about earlier, what if we were to like approach the city nowadays and be like, hey, we see you guys have this city land. We'd like to appropriate this land and do like a sculpture garden, or like, if we were to approach that, do you think we'd get the same as we did back then? Or would we, what would be the, what do you think the city's approach to Freemasonry would be? Do you think they see us in the same light?
I think nowadays they see like they probably need a parking lot more than they need a sculpture garden.
Yeah.
Or they have enough parks already. We're gonna sell this land to a development. They can put house on or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, my lodge, Azure LaGrange, I want to say maybe 8 to 10 years ago now. Maybe it hasn't been that long. We had a monument placed up for I think the Historical Society, something to do with LaGrange, where the old Masonic building used to be. I couldn't make it, but I've seen the pictures. I know about it. So things like that are still possible. Now, when it comes to
put up like a brass Mason statue, in like in your town, if it's like an empty field where the lodge used to be or something cool.
But that's different than like a garden. Now, a garden is going to need upkeep. Okay. Right. And if you come to the city or village and say, hey, we want to do this garden thing, which is fine and great. We'll give you the land. But the thing is don't let it turn to crap. Well, we need people there that are going to keep up maintenance, and that's about an everyday thing. I was just kind of
spitballing, wondering what the perception of the city is on Masonry. I wonder if they still think of us as a vital part of the community. Or
I do believe that, and that's why they give us these places to put these monuments in, whether they're brass or whatever they're made out of stone, in the community for the plaques and everything to read. Because it takes no maintenance. And if there's any kind of maintenance, you know what it is? They're probably cleaning it off once a year. Oh, hey, there's dust on it. Can you get the janitor to go over there and wipe it off? because there's nothing to it. And especially if it's outside and it's, the rainfall and everything, it's going to almost wash itself. Not really, but there's no maintenance to it. So yes, we're still part of the community. They still see us as something. But when it comes to monuments and gardens, they're two different.
What about that? What about that in like high schools or college campuses? Like I know, like we do scholarships and things like that. We give out a scholarship to the high schools here every year and stuff like that. But like, what if we were to be like, can we put a plaque in the school, of all the people who have received the scholarship? We want to honor them in the school by putting a plaque in there or something, so that people can see our square and compass in the school and also see the students,
For example, and I'm just throwing this out there, like the brother of our lodge that does a lot for the community, that may run for office, who has done a lot outside of the lodge for the community, who's known by the people and stuff. After maybe that individual has passed away and you're like, hey, they went to this high school, this is where all this started, we could probably bring that to the high school and say, hey, we would like to put a plaque up. It's their building, they can do whatever they want. It's or just our
well, dude, like you just said, we could do like a community award and name it after that person. And then, every year present that at the school at an awards night, that we give this award to one student every year. As
so my lodge,
the trophy stays there, and they just get their name on it. We just buy that little plate name, the nameplate every year.
Yeah, my lodge, Azure LaGrange, we have the Peter Zaluba scholarship, which is a scholarship just unique to our lodge and unique to the school of Lyons Township, Lyons High School, I believe it's called. We've been doing it for years, and they have done it just about every year, I think, except for like 2 years, and I think that was like during the COVID years. How everything was screwed up.
Yeah.
But now we're back at it, and we're doing that, and we're the only ones that have that music scholarship for that school. So yeah, you can definitely do something like that.
Don't you guys cook? Forgive me if I'm wrong. Isn't it like Strassenfest or something like that? You guys go?
Yeah, it's not us. It's Line Lodge. It's in Jasper. They have a booth at they call it the Strassenfest Street Fest in English, but they'll sell like the big thing around here is like deep fried chicken hearts, smoked sausage and stuff like that, and they'll make most of their money for a year doing that. That they need to operate on, and they have like an angel fund thing they do in the Christmas time. They'll pick a family and they'll basically buy their Christmas for them and everything. They use them basically to run their lodge. They make most of their money from just that one festival. Because it's a good size festival. It's a 3-day. I mean, they got a beer garden that will rival anything you guys ever seen. It's huge. I mean, I think there was 12 beer trailers there last year, and they went through every one of them. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, that brings me to another thing. Do you think we'd get more participation if we had alcohol at these things?
Hey, man, I mean, that's a great debate on a lot of Grand Lodges plates, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I
don't know what the right answer is, but
I mean, dude, if it's like anything else, you do it in a bottle club or you do it in moderation where your lodge isn't responsible, and you put it on the Masons, and you're not doing it before lodge. It's an after lodge. It's not till 3 in the morning. And
so here, let me place this scenario out. The lodge wants to do a community event, and the lodge says, "Hey, we want to serve alcohol." No, wait. Hear me out. We want to serve alcohol and beer. Now, we just happen to have a liquor license from the town. They allow us to do this, so everything's legal and legit. We're not going to be held responsible. Just
like if you're bringing in, like a mobile bar.
If all the P's and Q's are capitalized and dotted, everything works out. Why couldn't this be something that works for an individual lodge?
Yeah.
Well, I don't. Here in Indiana, is we can have alcohol in our lodges. It's certain criterias. It has to be catered in by.
Here, let me.
It has to be catered in by a catering company that has that license to cater in alcohol, and they it has to be their bartenders. It has to be security on site, and it's got to be licensed bartenders, of course, and like that. But if I remember right, the lodge can't own the building itself. The lodge has to be under a temple board or something like that.
Well, okay, yeah.
My home lodge was that way. We were owned by the Masonic Building Association, which consists of the York Rite, the Eastern Star, Demon Lays, Job's, and the Rainbow Daughters back in the day. Well, now it's just the lodge owns it, and it's still under the Building Association, but the only thing that meets there is the lodge, the Blue Lodge. But we could have alcohol catered in there, but at the same time, we really don't want to mess with that kind of trouble. I mean, you still got some of the old guys in there and go, well, they see people walking drunk out of Masonic Lodge, they're going to think less of us. And I kind of see that point of that, but at the same time, I mean, sometimes it's nice to have a beer after lodge, not have to walk, 2-3 blocks, go to a bar or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like where I'm at now, there's nothing open by the time we got a lodge. 9 o'clock, that little town is rolled the sidewalks up and everything closed down. The Mexican restaurant's the only thing that serves alcohol, and they're closed down by 9 o'clock every night.
Now, I'm not saying that there, issues couldn't pop up, but for just our conversation's sake, everything is legit. It's on the up and up. We can't get sued, all that. Right. Obviously, there's still going to be other problems. You got to worry about what people are going to say, how people are going to act. Mm-hmm. But if we're not liable for that, I'm not sure even if that's still right. But why are we? Why are we held responsible?
We want to have those kind of members in there
on their own time.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to make it like, like the other fraternal groups that we all know of that have bars, where it just turns into how much is the fraternity meetings happening, or is it just bar hanging, drinking,
I mean, we want that kind of membership, or do we want to keep our standards a bit higher?
Yeah.
And by no means am I, pushing that, this needs to be a thing. I'm, pushing for alcohol at lodges, whatever your Grand Lodge decides, that's up to them. It's just a conversation. Like I said.
Well, the big thing here in Indiana is not so much the lodges want to be able to have alcohol, is they want to be able to rent a place for wedding receptions or just banquets, and people want to have alcohol in them. Well, you can't serve alcohol in the lodges.
Guys, I hate to stop you guys, but I'm gonna have to totally cut off. I gotta hop off.
What?
I got a baby up, dude.
All right.
Crying, and I was like, I just paused it and I went in a second, and then my daughter's up and the baby's up, so I'm like, we got 2 up at 11 o'clock at night. So
melatonin is your friend.
Yeah. My wife's like, how important is this show right now? I'm like, well, we've already done an hour and 20 minutes, so I can probably pause out of here to carry a baby.
Yeah, you're probably all right.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah,
I'll let you guys keep going, but dude, shouts out to you guys, man. Thank you guys for hopping on and recording. I'm sorry to have to hop on you guys. But,
all right.
Hey, I understand. I've been there too.
Yeah, right. Exactly, man. Yeah. And hey, man, I'm trying to enjoy this one because this is the last time I'm doing this one.
All right.
I'll see you guys later, man.
All right,
later,
man.
bub.
Have a good one.
Later, guys.
Well, you get back to the alcohol thing, is do we want to attract members who are only there for a cheap drink?
Right, exactly.
I mean, the reason I joined the Grotto is because we went there after a Pennsylvania degree team came down to Kokomo and did put on their Master Mason degree, which if you ever get a chance, go see it. But we went to the Grotto for the after party, and it was $2 Bud Lights and $2 mixed drinks. And I'm like, well, hell, you got to be a member here. This is awesome. I can drink here I can spend $20, have a good time here. But that's one of the things that attracted me to the Grotto. And once I got into it, the fun and everything else, was more. I found more than what did alcohol, basically. But at the same time, Blue Lodge, That's the reason you join clubs like that. The Shrine, the Grotto, the Lions, the Eagles, whatever. You join that for that kind of fellowship. Where I think with Blue Lodge, you're more likely to join that to have the fellowship and the friendship and everything, but to learn more about yourself and look deeper into yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it definitely helped me out. It gave me a set of rules I can live by. That I saw the other guys with good high character men around me, every decision after that is like, well, I don't want to let these guys down. I don't want to look bad in front of these guys. So whereas the other clubs and everything, they look just as bad as I do, but.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes to me it sounds like a good idea. And, the more I think about it, well, maybe it's not such a good idea. Now, if your lodge has, brothers that like to go out afterwards, or if your lodge does allow alcohol, beer or something, it's just a couple of you in the lodge. It doesn't need to be, not in the lodge, but in the lodge building. It's just a couple of you just having a drink and talking, and chances are you're probably leaving after that. I don't know anybody that's like, hey, let's go and get trashed at lodge. It doesn't sound like that doesn't sound like the thing to do to me.
What is the rule in Illinois now? Can you guys bring alcohol into the lodge as long as it leaves with you?
We can, but it has to be, if it's going to stay at the lodge, it has to be in a locked drawer, locked cabinet. Okay. It's got to have its own designated space that's locked.
I'm thinking there's one state out there, and I can't think who it was, but they bring I think just beer in the lodge and have a beer after lodge, but it has to leave the building when everybody else leaves. It can't stay in the building overnight.
Okay.
And I can't remember. It's somewhere out west. It might be Kansas or something like that. I could be wrong on that, but I think it is out west where they can bring it in like during lodge and everything. They put it in the refrigerator and everything, but at the end of the night, it has to leave the building.
Okay.
I don't know if they can store up and have a refrigerator just full of beer and everything.
Yeah. No, we can have it. We just, we can't have anything before a stated meeting or a degree meeting or any kind of meeting that we have. Afterwards, it's fine. And obviously don't let anything get out of hand, but nobody really wants to get out of hand. I think it's more the idea just like, hey, I can have a drink here and that's it.
Right. You can have that conversation over a drink instead of having, walking down the bar and hearing everybody having, all that noise around you too. So.
Right. And, most of the time, when we do go down to the bar, what is it? It's all of us just sitting together talking about everything we just did.
Right. Which that little bar down there in the corner, that's a neat little bar. I love little bars like that. That little bar by Raven's Lodge.
Yeah, that's the bar we go to. So.
I love those little bars that are basically a hallway.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So we just go there and it's like one or two drinks and then that's it. And most of the time, because it's a weekday, I'm not drinking. It's just lately Saturday, since we've been doing this, I've been having a couple drinks. But that's. So not every lodge night do I need a drink, and not every lodge member I know needs a drink every night.
Right. It's to me, drinking is more of a social thing than now there ever was a need.
Yeah.
But like I say, I don't need to go lodge and get. I don't need to go to the grotto and drink. I don't need to go out to drink anymore. Just family's around, or if I feel like having a drink, I have a drink. I don't worry about it.
And we do have a couple guys that, they don't have a drink. They just come out and they have water or pop, and that's it. Because what do we do? We're just talking amongst ourselves.
Right.
Especially on a Monday night, nobody's looking to, tie one off and go to work the next morning.
Yeah. Now in England, they had a series on Netflix in England. They did a whole thing with the Grand Lodge of England. And they showed like a 7-part series. But in the inner press degree, the guy was nervous, and he's like, "How much time do I have left? Oh, I can go drink half a pint before we get started here." And stuff like that. It's like,
this is on Netflix?
It was not there anymore.
Wait, was it the Scottish? The Scottish
English. It was English.
Wait, okay, I think I remember now.
They talked about all 3 degrees, and then kind of some more other stuff, aspects about lodge and everything. But it's a really well done documentary.
I think I know which one it was. They showed everybody at the dinner table, and they're all holding their glasses.
Yeah, y'all got their wine glasses and everything, and they had a member who was a wine sommelier, and he was choosing the wine for the night and everything. And
yeah.
They had a bar with full taps and everything for the beers and everything guys drink. And England, they say there's no reason how do you have fellowship without having a drink in your hand or something like that.
Yeah. Didn't they say that, especially about America? How do you have Freemason without alcohol or something like that?
But hey, it is what it is. But I kind of looked into why the prohibition and everything, and it kind of comes from kind of the anti-Masonic thing. But then when prohibition hit, it kind of just stayed that way. We just never allowed alcohol back into our lodges.
I heard a couple different things. One thing keeps coming up, and when I say this, it's not to offend anybody, but I guess it was a Christian push to keep
probably
alcohol out of the Masonic Lodge, at least here in Illinois. I've been told that. I don't know. I haven't looked up any documents to say that or anything, but
I'd like to look back to our minutes back then.
But
I'd really like to look through the Grand Lodge minutes back then to kind of see when was the time when alcohol was allowed and when was it prohibited. And it's probably lost in time right now. You probably have to go back to the early 1900s and just work your way up year by year.
Yeah, I don't know if that's always been a thing since the inception of our Grand Lodge here in Illinois. That's a good question. I don't know.
I know it's different because in some of our original minutes in my home lodge, we were reading through that, and there was a kind of a ledger kept to the side about, okay, this is how much the whiskey and cigars cost for a lodge meeting. So we're talking 1850s, where the lodge would buy so much whiskey and so many cigars for after a lodge meeting.
Huh.
So at one point there was some drinking going on in the lodge, but lodge found 1851.
Were those part of the official bills?
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of the bills being paid because they had the food. Remember, it's really the penmanship was so good it was almost unreadable in a way because it was just the cursive was so elegant and everything. But one of our more established brothers. Where they go, oh, looky here, this is where they had the cigars and have a ledger for how much cigars cost and how much, because they buy a box of cigars and they buy a couple bottles of whiskey for after the meeting. Where everybody probably have a cigar and have a drink and head home for the night.
Yeah, why not?
But I'd like to see when was that prohibition in especially in Indiana, when was it started? Because where I live, it's a big Bible Belt area, but I live in a big Catholic area too. But you go up to where Tipton is. Tipton was a very religious area as far as the non-drinking Christian sect. So not just the Catholics and Methodists and like that, but as far as your Baptists, your Nazarenes, your Church of Christ, they always made a big push to try. They always had something in there every year about praying for all the bars to be shut down in town, like all 3 of them. I was like, what about the poor bartenders? They didn't get a job.
Yeah, well, prohibition was a big thing. There was it was something needed from the things I've read and seen on documentaries. It was getting pretty bad. Men were dying of fatty liver disease, alcohol toxicity.
Paychecks weren't making it home.
No, and I'm sure some of them were drinking because of the pain, and then it becomes something else, or it was something else, and then it turned in because of the pain and into something else.
I always thought it was funny.
You never know why it starts.
Where I work at, they used to way back in the day, they used to get paid every Friday, and they had paychecks out back then. We're talking back probably the 60s and 60s, 70s. Well, they said one of the wives came in and complained that, she never sees her husband's paycheck. Because before he gets home, he stops at the bar and drinks it all away. Cashes at the bar and drinks it all away. Uh-huh. Well, the owner of the company, being he wasn't a sober guy by no stretch of imagination, what I hear. But he's like, okay, we'll start paying on Wednesday. So he started paying on Wednesdays, and more checks started making it home because guys weren't stopping at the bar because they had to work the next day. So they can't get off soccer because they have to go to work the next day.
I worked.
I'll tell a funny story.
So in the 90s, when I was in high school, I worked as a bar hand cleaning up the bar. And there were a couple guys. I know it wasn't on the weekend because I did not work there on the weekends. I would come in and I'd see checks laying there, and I didn't understand. Yep. I was told, they cashed your checks here at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I see a lot of guys. I was working right there in Tipton, a little main part. It's the cool bar in town where everybody kind of drinking everything. And I went there one time. I had my paycheck, and I just had getting money out my. I went there after work, got my paycheck out, and I was getting money out. And they go, "How you want me to cash that paycheck for you?" And I'm like, "No, that's just a stub. It's already in the bank." Oh, we'll cash your paychecks. Like, no, it's direct deposit. Don't worry about it. But
we'll cash.
But I guess they like cashing paychecks. I don't know what I guess because if you get that cash in hand, you're more likely to buy more drinks.
Yeah.
But
you
stop and have a sandwich, and hey,
you can drink a lot more with a fistful of dollars.
Yeah. So you buy around for everybody. It's like no.
What I went around for all my friends.
Yeah.
Was that one movie? Did you ever see that one movie with Mickey Rourke, Barfly? It's like a B movie. Oh my gosh.
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah. That's like that's one of those movies when you're up late.
It comes on late night TV.
Yeah, that's like one of those I know it was on like HBO or Cinemax or something like that.
Oh,
yeah, look it up, Barfly. It's something else. It has nothing to do with Freemasonry whatsoever.
Right. Yeah, we kind of got off subject here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, we tried to stay on subject for everyone, but we like going.
Here's what it is. It's a conversation. Just guys talk. We start on something. It's like our podcast. You start on one thing, you something else comes up, and you follow that line.
I was going to say it's like a stated meeting. You start off with communications or something, then everyone's like, no, then we start with new business, and then you stay on new business forever, even though you're on something else.
Yeah, miscellaneous business. We start on reading approval minutes. That takes like 3 seconds because no one wants to hear you can do it. And then we get to old business, and we talk about that for like 45 minutes. It's like, wait a minute, we're talking about new stuff. We want to do about the old stuff. No, we got to stop this.
Yeah, can we go back to that? Like, oh, okay, yeah, let me write it in the minutes. So,
which I'm bad. Being master, I'm bad about not writing down like an itinerary of stuff I want to write. I want to talk about. Like, well, I'll remember that. I never do.
Yeah, I always think I'll remember it too, and I never do.
Like, is there anything else I want to talk about? In the after lodge, I'll be like, oh crap, hey, I want to talk about this too, real quick. Like, no, we're closing.
Yeah, all right. Well, I think that's bringing us to the end of the episode. So, do you have a shout out and shouts out for anybody?
Yeah, I do got a shout out tonight. If you don't know, if you ever heard of the Bob and Tom show? They're based out of Indianapolis, and they're a big syndicated, one of the biggest radio shows in the country and everything. But Bob Cavoy and one of the Bob and Tom just recently passed away from some type of cancer. I forget what kind of cancer he had. But the story I have with Bob and Tom is when I first moved to Indiana, it was during the Pork Festival parade they had there at Tipton. And Bob and Tom used to come up to our festival, put on a big show on Friday or Saturday. I think it's Saturday night. But they'd be in the parade too. Try to make everybody laugh on a float, stuff like that. I think the first year they want everybody to eat a pound of pork a day to help out the pork producers or something like that. Well, I remember going and watching that, and I thought these guys were hilarious. Well, then I found out on the radio, and I've been listening to them forever. Since I was 13 years old, I've listened to Bob and Tom every day. Every morning I listen to them on the way to work, and I listen to their podcast after work and everything. Well, Bob just recently passed away, and Bob was the kind of guy who liked cigarettes, he liked beer, and he liked boobs. So everything that every man should love in the world right there. So I want to give my shout out to Bob Kavoyan. May you rest in peace, and may you be covered in boobs in heaven.
To Bob. Well, my shout out is gonna be to Brock for being an awesome brother and an even better father for trying to go back and forth dealing with the kids in the show. So, shout out to you, Brock.
Shout out to you, Brock. So what you got to get coming up next on the show?
Oh, I don't know. By the time this is released, I think we'll have, let's see, the one three of us did with Andrew from Time for Fellowship.
All right. We got an episode. We had the Gunslinger come out last Monday. Our good friend Greg Carey. He's a competitive pistol shooter. He does like 3 guns, stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
He's also a member of 2 lodges. I just saw him today and everything. And I think he's senior deacon in one lodge and senior warden in another lodge there in town, there around the area. But we had him come on, and we have an episode with Jared basically interviewing me when I was. It's kind of let's go back in time when the first year you were a master, asking me about all the stuff I had to learn and had to figure out and everything. And we had to kind of cut it short because then our big guest showed up, who we talked about previously. Aaron Stevenson, formerly known as Damian Sandow from WWE. And we had him on our show. We had about a good hour-long conversation with him, and it was so fun watching Jared do this episode because he is the biggest wrestling mark nerd, whatever you want to call him. He's the kind of person who not only remembers what match happened, he remembers where it happened, what the attendance was, and everything about lead up to it, everything. I mean, he is like an uber wrestling, if not nerd aficionado. So for him to actually talk to a guy who has wrestled WWE and is currently wrestling with the NWA Power Hour out of I think they're out of Chicago, if I remember right. But to have him actually talk wrestling with actual wrestler and everything, it made me happy watching how happy he got for having that guy on there. And it's really a good episode. I think everybody will enjoy it. And then after that, I think we wrapped up for a day after that one. So no, we had one where our brother John McEwen came on and kind of talked about his podcast and kind of a sermon he's been working on, and we kind of discussed the stuff behind that. So nice. We got 3 good episodes coming out. I think everybody really enjoy them. At least I hope they enjoy them. And if not, we'll do 3 more they might enjoy. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? So I know this will probably be the last Saturday for maybe 1 or 2 Saturdays with everything I got going on, because I got to set up for At Refreshment next Sunday for in-person recording, and then the following Sunday I have to leave early to go to Ottawa to record for the Grand Chapter.
Okay.
We'll play it by ear. If
sounds good.
Something changes, I'll definitely let you know.
All right, man.
All right, man. That's our episode. Everyone, thanks for watching. If you haven't figured it out, please like and subscribe. You're watching us on YouTube. Please leave us your comments, and we will be back with more.